All right, so in our journey through Romans, the Gospel of God, we're now arriving on chapter 2. So I thought it'd be good in starting chapter 2 to just do a quick review of chapter 1 and where we've come. So we started with 1 to 7, which was Paul's introduction. And the key thing is, I think, comes from verse 5. Paul, an apostle, by grace, through faith, for glory. That's his mission. He's an apostle by grace to bring about the obedience of faith for the glory of God. And that's who's writing, and he's writing to the called and loved in Rome. That's who the letter's addressed to. So to you in Rome, the called and loved, that's the introduction. And then Paul talks about how he prays eagerly to come to Rome because he's eager to preach the gospel to those who are in Rome, which we said was quite interesting because Paul wants to preach the gospel to Christians in Rome. And we got to 16 to 17, which is just this massive sweeping statement of the thesis of the book that we're going to come back to over and over and over and over and over again, because the gospel is the power of God to save believers, because in it the righteousness of God is revealed from faith to faith. And then Paul continues, because the reason we need this gospel is because the wrath of God is being poured out, because though everyone knows God, they're exchanging his glory for created things, and so God is giving them up or giving them over to their sinfulness. So that's where we're at right now. So this massive indictment of everybody being given over to their sinfulness, evidenced by their acting out of what God gave them over to in all kinds of greed and lusts and impurity and even things like gossip, just this massive list of things that I don't think anybody could look at and not see themselves in somewhere. So that's where we've come in chapter 1. So now, question of where are we going? Paul has just shown that everyone is sinful, unrighteous, ungodly, and therefore under wrath. And there's this kind of question that comes up. Well, what about God's people, the Jews, the Jewish people, Israel? Are they included in this massive indictment of humanity? And so for chapter 2 and the start of 3, Paul is going to show how the answer is yes, the Jewish people are also under sin. And so that's what's going to bring us to our text of Romans 2, 1 to 5, where we're going to start looking into this argument here and see how Paul extends this beyond just those out there in the world to us here in Israel as well, in the chosen people of God.